Excerpt from Contact Report 531 Translation. Synopsis. Billion talk about lies, deception, and slander, its causes and consequences over time, etc.
If you still have some time, I would have some questions, which you certainly can answer for me.
Today I'm not in a hurry.
Then I want to ask you about something from your field of psychology, if it is all right with you.
Of course.
Good, thanks. Here in fact, in my own family must battle again with habitual, respectively, notorious lies, slander and tirades of hate addressed against me. I want to know again, how it is about the actual facts of this matter, and I mean in all things around it, such as also, where lies the origin for such a behavior pattern, and what further consequences are connected with it.
Habitual lies and slander have their origin in man, of the human since childhood from a particular compulsion situation, which also depends on notorious or pathological, respectively morbid lies and is called Pseudologia phantastica as well. It is accompanied as a rule already in childhood and adolescence by an asocial behavior through a personality disorder, whereby social standards and rules are ignored and often very blatantly violated. There exists in a certain way an inability for integration and insertion into an upright life in the human community, whereby the antisocial personality disorder behavior of the habitual liar as a rule goes on during the whole life and results in the harming of the community. Notorious, respectively pathological habitual lying captivated persons, deceive perfectly their family members as well as psychological experts, judges, authorities, superiors, so-called friends, and other people in general, whereby the pretense of sickness and allegedly suffered violence etc. are usual procedures. As a rule, habitual lying is also associated with a psychic disturbance, which has its origin already in childhood. However, it can also appear through sickness or accident as well as through abuse. In addition to the habitual lies, combined with a social personality disturbance, there are then also theft, the running away from parental care and the parental house, as well as however also vandalism, begging about some material value and habitual debt in various forms. Also the neglect of learning of any kind regarding a valuable lifestyle etc. is associated with it, as well as also failure to follow instructions and the myself does not fit into the standards and rules of uprightness. The whole thing expands then more and more, up to work shyness and to law-breaking, and I mean into adulthood, in which everything is continued. The form of habitual lying cannot be controlled by those overcome by it, consequently they assess the presented lies by themselves and from them originating slander as facts and truth, and I mean, because their brains cannot differentiate between genuine memories and imagined memories. From this follows that habitual liars also willingly accept false memories, if as such lies or false memories etc. by third persons are told or even suggested to them. Similarly, in those who are habitually lying captivated people, incorrect memories are forcibly elicited by incorrect psychological therapies etc. if an incorrect psychological treatment is made about them, in the past to find and make remembered the by treatment harmful experiences and events etc., which are to remedied, respectively resolved. Such a psychological action is not only extremely disturbing and incorrect and testifies to the incompetence of the psychologically trained person, but it is fundamentally also dangerous for the habitual liars, because as a result a great amount false memories will be built in them, which by the in this way incorrect psychological treatment, then are taken as fact and truth, and correspondingly are incorrectly assessed. And why this occurs is, because memories regarding the events and experiences of other persons are taken on by the habitual liar as his own experienced facts and events, and I mean because the brain of the habitual liar is not able to differentiate his own experiences from the experiences of other persons. Many times habitual liars emerge with an asocial personality appearance through a wrong or missing honest attention of the mother, or through a totally incorrectly exercised treatment and upbringing by her, with maltreatment, lies and slander, although however here the same can be the case of the father's side. Also genetic factors or a broken family home can play a very great role, as well as also alcohol, drug, medicine abuse or mightiness of a parent or possibly both parents. The whole thing regarding habitual liars, as the aforementioned explained, is that as a rule they exhibit an asocial personality disturbance, through which they have no ability to empathize in the world of thoughts and feelings of other people. This disturbance also enables them not to fit themselves into the social standards of the community. As a result, often it is infringed upon in flagrant ways, and criminal actions are not rare, because owing to the missing sense of right and wrong between mine and yours cannot in a clear way be differentiated, and everything only is assessed for one's own advantage. Humans who are overcome by such a personality disturbance are on the one hand genetically afflicted by a parent who suffers from the same malady, and on the other hand are they hardly, with only extreme difficulty or generally not at all, to be able to change for the better. Humans of this kind are as a rule physically and in their speaking can become very quickly very aggressive and totally irritable, and the inhibition threshold is extremely low in them, and as a result everything also can be accompanied by a mightiness. And once again the running up of debt-making must be pointed out, because in this respect there appears no limit. The non-payment of debt as well as criminal actions and acts as a rule always appear, although however no remorse is shown for these. At the same time, the tolerance regarding frustration is also very low, as well as also the accusations of other persons is prominent regarding things which are based on incorrect memories or of one's own actions and acts, which then are blamed on others. So are also actions, words or speaking of another human in an extremely negative way very quickly and with condemnation sentenced in advance as threats and provocation. Consequently, after that also is reacted to aggressively through word and act. From these emerging actions, acts, arguments, insults and accusations originate then spontaneously, rashly and totally unplanned, exactly as well as also false, superficial explanations for one's own incorrect behavior in every conceivable connection. So others are also always to blame for conflicts, with whom habitual liars cannot cope with. As a result, they always hold some other person responsible for these. The conscience of the habitual liar is insensitive and not in the position to summon up pangs of conscience or remorse. As a result, a conscious and for the better aligned rationalizing also cannot come to exist in them regarding social and interpersonal behavior. Their thoughts and feelings world is extremely limited regarding decency, respect and uprightness, etc., which leads to the fact, in order that they accordingly outwardly appear to others to be similar, they simply to imitate affected behavior and the gestures etc. of the fellow human, and they can be very charming, in order however to exploit and manipulate others, and I mean, because they are very well aware of their thinking feeling-like strivings, and can use them for their own advantages and purposes. There is missing thus both the ability to empathize as well as thoughts and feelings of guilt, as well as not rarely also valuable emotions regarding other people, because the thinking feeling-like connections are so minimal that they are unable to put themselves in the thoughts and feelings of other humans. This expresses also that their sympathy for themselves likewise is lacking as well as also for other people. All of this indicates also to a very poor control regarding valuable characteristic actions. The strongly pronounced impulsiveness plays an important role, which however at all costs is to be hidden, although however contrarily anger and rage, etc., again reveal everything. Along with this are accompanied also the underdevelopment and the absence of responsibility consciousness, which is why it is as good as impossible to show consideration for the thoughts and feelings as well as the rights and wishes of other humans. The care for relationships extremely rarely in sociability way, but likely so, they are not valuable to mention and they very much are changing, exhibit superficial and instable forms, whereby however as a rule exists, prominently a calculating, benefiting for themselves form, which however by the pathological liars in every connection can be covered up by them with their own remarkable acting skill. From this follows, and owing to the false charms of habitual liars as well as their lies, that relationships frequently emerge, in which are exploited those who trust them. That for such relationships by the liars are selected particularly unstable, psychically damaged, naive or some consciousness, understanding and reason damaged persons, is a fact, which then underpins that the pathological liar has like a kind of fine sense for this at his disposal, to recognize such humans and to make them dependent in bondage.
Which is actually so unfortunate, because what emerges from your entire explanation is how sick the humans are who are notorious liars. And is there actually nothing to be done, then, for them to be able to be free from this? It would be really desirable that such humans can be helped.
In all that I already explained is that it concerns a pathological matter and therefore a morbid manifestation. This is anchored though so deep in the consciousness that hardly a possibility exists for it to ever be completely removed. Possibly small successes could be achieved, but the rule shows that an extensive removal of the condition and therefore actual help is hardly possible. Regarding this, since 1975, when we came into contact with this phenomenon in certain Earth humans, we have studied it thoroughly. We have gathered a great deal of material about this, which by our noted scientists, to which I belong as well, since then have worked on and analyzed. At the same time we have reviewed also psychological educational material of terrestrial teaching institutes and psychologists, which however did not exactly bring us much insight. The up to now obtained results corresponds for that reason to what corresponds to our own research, clarifications and discoveries, which I have explained to you.
Unfortunate, but I think that humans who are harmed by notorious liars and slanderer damages, both in one or the other case, should defend themselves against this, shouldn't they? And how is it actually with slander? Is this always accompanied by notorious lying?
The whole thing is actually very unfortunate. However, a great deal of damage and troubles emerge from it, whereas sometimes nothing else remains that against a denying must be considered and carried out. And as far as the slander goes, such then is to say, that as a rule slander always occurs through certain malicious or pathological lying, and I mean not just elicited by habitual liars.
This should actually be enough. Dear, thanks for your explanation. Everything is really very unfortunate, and I honestly must say, I am completely stunned, because I have not known what all is behind the notorious lying. Unfortunately, I have never concerned myself to fathom into it.